Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on Starbucks' latest high-stakes earnings call. We're going to focus just on the Q&A, where Wall Street really put the company's leadership to the test.
So, as you probably know, Starbucks is trying to pull off this big turnaround. But what are the things that are really keeping investors and analysts up at night? Well, today, we're going behind the scenes of that crucial Q&A to hear the absolute toughest questions analysts are asking CEO Laxman Narasimhan about where the company is headed.
All right, we have boiled down all of their questions into 5 key challenges that really map out the entire Starbucks comeback story. We're talking the big picture, operations, innovation, the money side of things, and of course, competition. Let's get into it. First up, we've got the big picture challenge. And this one really goes for the jugular, questioning the very foundation of their new strategy. Is this whole back to Starbucks idea even relevant anymore?
So the very first analyst up to bat pretty much asked, is this back to Starbucks thing just nostalgia? He pointed out, hey, look around. The business today is all about cold drinks and drive-thrus. So is focusing on that classic cafe experience actually a step backward? But CEO Laxman Narasimhan's response was super clear. This is not about going back in time. He said the soul of the brand is around customer connection and our craft. And he made the point that this has to apply everywhere, whether you're in the drive-thru, using your phone to order, or sitting in the cafe. It's really about taking those core ideas and applying them to the way the business works today. Okay, so once he defended the big idea, the questions naturally shifted to execution, which brings us right to the operational challenge. It's one thing to have a plan, but can this green apron idea really fix the in-store experience? And the centerpiece of this whole operational fix is a plan they're calling Green Apron Service. Think of it as their new gold standard for the customer experience, and it's all built on some major investments in both their people and their tech.
So what exactly are they investing in? Well, for starters, more staff and longer hours. Plus, this new smart queue tech that helps organize all the orders coming in from the app, the drive-thru, and the counter. The goal is really simple: faster, more personal service. And the early signs from the first 650 pilot stores, they're looking pretty good, consistently outperforming the rest. And it's starting to show up everywhere. Get this, since they rolled out Green Apron service across the country, over 80% of their U.S. stores now have average cafe service times under 4 minutes. And that's happening even with more customers walking in the door. The CEO talked about this concept he calls a flywheel effect. And it's a pretty powerful idea. When a store performs better during those crazy busy morning rushes, it earns more staff hours. That, in turn, leads to an even better customer experience, which, you guessed it, brings in more people. It's this cycle of improvement that just keeps feeding itself. Okay, on to the innovation challenge. With stores running a bit smoother, analysts wanted to know if new products could really bring people back. And, this is the big one, justify those premium Starbucks prices. An analyst from Bernstein got straight to the point. Will new stuff like the new protein coffee actually bring back customers who haven't been in for a while? And is that price point correct, especially since it bumps up the total cost of the drink? And the company's answer was a pretty confident yes. They say this new protein platform, which you can add to almost any drink, is already bringing back those occasional customers. And the feedback they're getting? People are saying it's really delicious and actually see it as a tremendous value, even with the extra cost, because they're getting something customized and healthy. So what about menu prices in general? Well, the strategy for 2026 is pretty clear. They're going to be strategic and targeted. So that means you probably shouldn't expect to see those huge sweeping price hikes that can tick people off. From new products, the conversation pivoted to the company's actual stores. And this brings us to the financial challenge. Analysts really wanted to understand the decision to close over 100 stores and what that all means for growth down the road. When an analyst from Bank of America asked about the logic here, the CEO laid out a really clear 2-part test. A store got the axe if it either failed to create that warm, welcoming space that's key to the brand, or if it just couldn't make enough money to be profitable. And financially, they actually expect these closures to be a slight positive. So this all points to a really clear financial goal they have right now. Focus on growing sales first. The big bet is that if they can get more people in the door buying more stuff, the profits are going to take care of themselves. Which brings us to the final and maybe toughest hurdle, the competitive challenge. The market is just flooded with new coffee and energy drink brands. So how does a giant like Starbucks defend its home turf?
I mean, you've seen it, right? New drive-thrus, new drink spots popping up everywhere. An analyst from Stifel asked about this directly. How is Starbucks being affected by this explosion of new competition? It's a huge question for the entire industry.
And the CEO's response was just dripping with confidence. He said, "We gotta be on our best offense." He pointed out, "I already have the biggest drive-through coffee chain in America, the biggest mobile order, and I also have the biggest cafe. Scale matters. So the strategy isn't to copy the little guys. It's to use their massive size to be the best possible version of Starbucks." So, okay, after hearing all of these tough challenges from Wall Street and all the detailed answers from the top, the ultimate question is still hanging out there. Is this plan actually working? Well, the company offered up some data that suggests maybe it is. After a really rough patch, we're talking 6 straight quarters of flatter and negative sales, this latest quarter, they finally saw a turnaround. It was their first quarter of positive global sales growth in 7 quarters. And the really important part? That growth was driven by more people actually coming in and buying things, not just by jacking up prices.
And that leaves us with the final thought. Starbucks has a detailed plan. They're putting it into motion, and the very early signs look positive. But in a world where you have a million choices for your morning coffee, the real question is, will customers give them the time they need to get it right? Because the answer to that, well, that's going to decide everything.